He was homeless for years, until a stranger changed his entire life. The biting Chicago wind, a raw, insistent cold that knifed through my threadbare layers and settled deep in my bones, had been my unwelcome companion for 3 relentless years. The unforgiving concrete canyons of this city had become my bed, the cacophony of its constant motion my unwanted lullaby. I, Daniel Walker, a man who had once known the simple comforts of a home, the quiet warmth of belonging, was now just another faceless figure in the hurried crowds, another soul etched with the grime of survival. My age, 42, felt closer to 60, each year on the streets carving lines of weariness onto my spirit. It had begun with a layoff, a slow bleed of savings, and a swift, brutal slide into homelessness. The shame had been a heavier weight than the hunger at first, a persistent whisper of failure echoing in the hollowness within me. Pride, a useless burden on the streets, had gradually eroded, replaced by the primal need to find the next meal, the next patch of sun-baked pavement in summer or steam grate in winter. Days bled into weeks, weeks into months, and months into a monotonous cycle of panhandling, of seeking fleeting moments of warmth in the fluorescent glow of all-night diners or under the meager shelter of bus stops. Faces became a blur, some offering a quick glance of pity, others a look of judgment, most simply passing by as if I were invisible, a stain on the city's polished surface they preferred not to acknowledge. My memories of my former life, of my daughter, Emily, her bright smile, the warmth of her small hand in mine, the bedtime stories we used to share in our cozy little house, became both a solace and a torment. They were a constant reminder of what I had lost, a stark contrast to the brutal reality of my present. I clung to them, these precious fragments of a happier past, like rare gems in the vast emptiness of my existence. Food was a constant obsession, a gnawing void that overshadowed everything else. The kindness of strangers was a sporadic and unpredictable gift, a half-eaten sandwich offered with a hesitant gesture, a few crumpled bills dropped into my outstretched hand. Each act of generosity was a small flicker of humanity in the overwhelming darkness, a reminder that even in the most indifferent of environments, compassion could still exist. Sleep was a fitful, dangerous affair, a constant vigilance against the threats that lurked in the shadows. The fear of being robbed, of being assaulted, was a constant companion. Trust was a forgotten word, survival the only language I truly understood. Years passed in this relentless cycle of hardship, each day a mirror of the last, hope a fragile ember threatened by the winds of despair. I had become a part of the city's background noise, a silent testament to its indifference, my story lost in the vast, overwhelming narrative of its millions of lives. Then, one frigid January afternoon, as I sat huddled against a brick wall near Millennium Park, a figure approached. He was different from the others, his coat expensive, his demeanor radiating a quiet strength. He didn't flinch, didn't offer a quick, dismissive glance. He looked at me, really looked at me, as if I were a person, not just a fixture of the sidewalk. He stopped a few feet away, his presence radiating an unexpected warmth amidst the city's icy grip. He was older, maybe in his late 50s, his hair silver at the temples, his eyes a kind, intelligent blue. He carried a simple leather briefcase in his hand. He didn't speak immediately, just observed me for a long moment, his expression thoughtful, almost sorrowful. The silence stretched, not uncomfortable, but filled with an unspoken understanding. Finally, he spoke, his voice a low, steady baritone that cut through the surrounding traffic noise. "Daniel, is that you, Daniel Walker?" My head snapped up, my heart pounding in my chest. That name, it had been years since anyone had called me by my full name. Most just called me, Buddy, or nothing at all. Recognition flickered in my mind, a distant echo from a life I thought I had left behind. His face, there was a familiarity, a ghost of a memory struggling to surface from the depths of my forgotten past. He offered a small, almost hesitant smile. "It's Mark Olsen. We worked together at Sterling Software, back in the day." Mark. The name resonated, a chord struck in the long silent chambers of my memory. Mark, the smart, easygoing guy from accounting, the one who always had a joke and a friendly word. But that had been a lifetime ago, in a different world. He hadn't changed much, just the silver in his hair, a few more lines around his eyes. But the kindness in his gaze, the genuine concern etched on his face, was unmistakable. A wave of shame washed over me, the stark contrast between the successful-looking man standing before me and the broken figure I had become almost unbearable. I looked down, unable to meet his gaze. "Daniel," he said softly, his voice filled with a gentle empathy. "What in God's name happened?" The dam of my carefully constructed silence finally broke. In hesitant, fragmented sentences, I recounted my story, the job loss, the slow depletion of resources, the swift and brutal descent into homelessness. The words tumbled out, raw and painful, a confession of a life shattered. Mark listened patiently, his expression never changing from one of quiet concern. He didn't interrupt, didn't offer platitudes or judgment. He simply allowed me to speak, to finally voice the years of unspoken pain and despair. When I finally fell silent, exhausted and emotionally drained, he remained standing there, his gaze steady. "Daniel," he said, his voice firm but kind. "This isn't how your story ends. Have you ever unexpectedly encountered someone from your past during a difficult time in your life? How did that encounter make you feel?" Mark didn't just offer words, he offered a hand up. He helped me get off the streets, arranging for a bed at a local shelter run by a community outreach program. The simple act of having a warm, safe place to sleep, a clean blanket, a hot meal, felt like an unimaginable blessing after years of exposure and hunger. He didn't cry, didn't push me to talk about the past more than I was ready. He simply offered support, a quiet presence that reminded me that I wasn't entirely forgotten. Over the next few weeks, Mark became a constant in my life, a steady lifeline in the turbulent waters of my recovery. He helped me get basic medical care, bought me a sturdy coat and some decent clothes, and patiently listened as I slowly began to process the trauma of my experiences. He never once made me feel like a charity case, never looked down on me. He treated me with the same respect he had shown me years ago at Sterling Software, seeing beyond the dirt and despair to the man I once was, the man he believed I could be again. One crisp morning, as we sat in the small common room of the shelter, the smell of coffee thick in the air, Mark spoke of his own life. He had built a good career for himself, working his way up in the tech industry. But beneath the surface of his comfortable life, he carried a quiet dissatisfaction, a sense that something was missing. He confessed that seeing me that day near Millennium Park had shaken him, a stark reminder of the precariousness of life and the unexpected falls it could bring. It had also stirred something within him, a desire to do more, to use his good fortune to help those who had been less fortunate. "Daniel," he said, his gaze earnest, "I want to help you get back on your feet. Not because I feel sorry for you, but because I remember the smart, capable guy you were. That guy is still in there, I know it." He proposed a plan, a way for me to rebuild my life. He offered me a job at his company, a chance to use my skills, to contribute, to regain my sense of purpose. It wasn't a handout, it was an opportunity, a chance to earn my way back. The offer was overwhelming, almost too much to comprehend. After years of being invisible, of being deemed worthless by society, here was someone offering me a second chance, a path back to dignity. Tears welled up in my eyes, a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. I had grown so accustomed to the harshness of my existence that this sudden act of profound kindness felt surreal. "Mark," I managed to say, my voice thick with emotion. I don't know what to say." He simply smiled, that same warm, genuine smile I remembered from years ago. "Say yes, Daniel, say yes to a new beginning. Have you ever received an unexpected act of kindness that profoundly changed the course of your life? How did it make you feel, and what impact did it have?" Saying yes to Mark's offer was the first tentative step on a long and challenging journey of rebuilding. The initial weeks at his company were daunting. The world of software development had evolved significantly in the years I had been on the streets. I felt like a stranger in a familiar land, a rusty machine trying to whir back to life. But Mark was patient and unwavering in his support. He arranged for refresher courses, paired me with patient and understanding colleagues, and fostered a work environment that was both demanding and encouraging. He never once made me feel ashamed of my past, never treated me differently because of where I had come from. Slowly, painstakingly, I began to find my footing again. The familiar logic of code, the satisfaction of solving a complex problem, the camaraderie with my new colleagues, these were the building blocks of my renewed sense of self-worth. The memories of my time on the streets remained, a stark and sobering reminder of the depths I had fallen to, but they no longer defined me. They became a part of my story, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of a single act of kindness. I also started to confront the deep-seated pain of my past, the loss of my home, the crushing weight of failure, and the gnawing absence of Emily. Mark gently encouraged me to seek therapy, to process the trauma I had endured. It was a difficult and often painful process, but it was a necessary step towards healing. As the months turned into years, the broken man I had become began to mend. The light returned to my eyes, the weariness in my posture lessened, and the constant knot of anxiety in my stomach began to ease. I worked hard, driven by a profound sense of gratitude and a fierce determination to make the most of this second chance. I excelled at my work, my skills and intellect, dulled by years of hardship, now sharp and focused. My relationship with Mark deepened, evolving from that of a savior and the saved to a profound and enduring friendship. We shared a bond forged in the fires of adversity and the transformative power of human connection. He never sought praise for his generosity, never once mentioned the life he had pulled me back from. His reward was seeing me heal, seeing me reclaim my life, seeing the spark of the man I once was reignite. One quiet evening, years after our chance encounter near Millennium Park, Mark and I were having dinner at his home, a warm and inviting space filled with the easy laughter of old friends. "You know, Daniel," he said, a thoughtful look on his face, "that day I saw you, it changed my life too." He went on to explain how witnessing my struggle had reawakened a sense of purpose within him, a deep desire to use his success for something more meaningful than just accumulating wealth. He had since become deeply involved in local homeless outreach programs, dedicating his time and resources to helping others find their way back from the brink. My heart swelled with emotion. His simple act of kindness had not only saved me but had also created a ripple effect, touching the lives of countless others in our city. As I looked at him, my friend, my benefactor, I understood the profound truth of his words that cold January afternoon: "This isn't how your story ends." My years on the streets had been a dark and painful chapter, but they were not the final word. A stranger's unexpected kindness had opened a new chapter, a story of resilience, redemption, and the enduring power of human connection in the heart of a bustling American city. The biting Chicago wind no longer held the same terror for me. The city, once a symbol of my despair, now represented a second chance, a testament to the fact that even in the most unlikely of places, hope could be found, and a stranger's hand could pull you back from the abyss, changing your entire life. What do you think is the most important lesson that can be learned from Daniel's story? How can individuals make a difference in the lives of the homeless in their own communities? If Daniel's story of resilience and the transformative power of kindness resonated with you, please like this story, share it with others who believe in the power of human connection, and subscribe for more inspiring narratives. Your support helps us share stories that remind us of the good that exists in the world.